Welcome back, OBL fans, to day 2 of Super Week. We have so much more League of Legends action coming your way. Hello, everyone. I am Jake Spawn Tiberian. Joining me on the desk tonight is a Magic 8 Ball, Matthew Fish Stewart, the man that tips about as well as a Magic 8 Ball, and Max Atlas Anderson. Gentlemen, much more League of Legends coming your way. How did you sleep last night?
Really well. Look, we had a little bit of a different experience on Summoner's Rift that we may have been expecting last night, but I definitely slept like a baby. Looking forward to more Super Week.
Slept really well. Last night's game of fantastic. Super Week only just started. Today's going to be even better.
Yeah, exactly right. But before we get into tonight's matchups, let's actually take a look at the standings and where the teams currently lie just to get the lay of the land. It is Legacy, the OPL Legends, currently 6-0 at the top of the ladder. Direwolves, of course, are 5-1 after another victory against the Chiefs, who are now 4-2. Hellions will round out the top 4 at 3-3, and Sin Gaming are challenging for that spot. Avant, Trident, and Infernum will round out the ladder. A very congested top part of the map. Legacy kind of extending their lead. Direwolves right behind them. But everything could change because, guys, we have so much more League of Legends action coming your way. Let's take a look at the schedule. Tonight, it is going to be Direwolves versus the Sin before our OPL Legend match and match up against the two old sister teams. It's going to be Legacy versus Trident. Wednesday, it is Chiefs taking on Sim to see if they can get some revenge. And Hellions versus Infernum will round out Super Week. Of course, that is a lot of information, so if you need any of it again, head over to the website, oce.lolesports.com. We've got you covered there. And joining the conversation on Twitter, as always, at @lol_Oceania, or use that hashtag IamOPL. But that's enough of me talking. Let's jump into tonight's action. As we said, on the blue side, for Game 1 at least, it is going to be the Direwolves, the only team that has taken a set off the Chiefs in the last year domestically, and they've done it twice. Sharp in the top lane, Sybil their jungler, Fantix their perfect mid laner, Raze and Kuden are their bottom lane. Guys, this team looked incredible last night.
Well, they looked incredible last night in the last 2 games. They looked like they got a little bit pulverized in the first one. The Chiefs really coming out strong. But this is something that happened the last time these teams met. It seems like revenge is what the Direwolves are known for and what they're good at because, man, what a ridiculous performance in the back 2 games.
They got hungry. It's like deja vu all over again. Game 2 and 3, it was fantastic.
Well, the people who are going to try and keep them a little bit hungry tonight are Sin Gaming. They're going to be on the red side of the rift. It is Chippies in the top laner for some Fido, Jubes their jungler, Rymeister their mid laner, Cardred their veteran AD carry, and Rogue their support. Want to throw this one open because Sin are the team that have always kind of been challenging for 4th place. Tonight, they get a chance to get there. What do you think about their odds?
Well, the thing is, Sin are built around their mid laner. Rymeister controls the flow of the game a whole lot from that mid lane. He has so much power, and you can see when he's ahead, he does ridiculous things. His Yasuo able to control the map. His Diana in the final game that they played against Avant was insane. He did more damage than anybody else by about 20k, something stupid like that. Ridiculous numbers, gigantic damage, put the whole team on his back and made things work. What the question is can he do it against Fantix? And this is where it sort of falls apart.
And I completely agree with Max. For Sin, they're going to have to really rely on Rymeister to pick up the game for them today. I had high hopes for them going into the game against Direwolves, but looking at Direwolves last night, they played 2 amazing games against the Chiefs, and it's going to be really difficult for Sin.
But let's look at the game that the Direwolves actually dropped, because it was a game that Sybil picked up the Udyr and actually looked a little bit out of sorts. He had an amazing Elise game to follow it up, so credit to the guy for bouncing back, but it was an area of the map that Chiefs tried to pick on. Is this something that the shot caller of Sin can maybe call in his top laner, call in his mid laner, try and keep tabs of Sybil, who seems to be the barometer right now for the Direwolves?
Yeah, and this is somewhat dangerous on the side of the Direwolves, just because Jubes on the opposite side hasn't necessarily been performing as well. Although, look, this is an area of the map that we have drawn attention to before. Jubes has been up and down in his performance, but most recently was actually able to get aggressive, move into the enemy jungle, and start messing things around. And if he can utilize the fact that Sybil, is likely to sit in a brush for 4 minutes, he might be able to get something done.
For me, there's 2 types of Sybil, and it showed last night quite evidently. There's a Sybil that sits in the brush, like Max said, for about 4 minutes and sits there doing nothing and then gets 1 kill off the entire game. And then there's a Sybil that's a walking highlight reel. You mentioned his Elise, his Gragas was fantastic as well. If that Sybil can step up today, it's going to be great for the Direwolves.
Yeah, but you actually just mentioned exactly what I was thinking. Like, does Sybil have champion pool issues? It's a harsh question of someone that is a great jungler, But we've seen some very, very shaky picks out of the man.
Yeah, and I don't even know whether it's necessarily champion pick issues because his Gragas looked fantastic, his Elise looked fantastic. It was the first time we've seen his Gragas for quite some time. But it seems like when he's on a champion that he may not necessarily be as comfortable on, it just looks like there's like this massive gap between the champions he's great at and the champions that he can play. And these ones, that's where you want him on if you want the Direwolves to fall.
So we'll see if that does become a strategy to try and maybe ban out Sybil. Another area that has got a lot of scrutiny from Direwolves, and maybe now it's becoming much more of a positive example, is Razen Kuden down in that bottom lane. Ejim and Radier, no slouches, and Razen Kuden every single game stepped up to the challenge and tried to take it to them. Cardred and Rogue are a strange bottom lane to me, Atlas. Break this one down.
Oh my god. Okay, so I love Rogue. Rogue is a fantastic player. His Thresh, ridiculous. This guy has like so many plays, but Cardred is just a little bit, I don't know. He's a veteran of the scene. This guy's been around the traps for a very, very long time, but he just seems to sit back and let things happen as opposed to make the moves. You look on the other side of the rift at the Direwolves, Raze goes in. That guy's ridiculous. That being said, he also has the highest average CS at 20 minutes in the whole league at 181 out of the 80 carries.
And this is also why I think that Sin's going to have to really rely on Rymeister to come into this match, because Direwolves have this impressive bottom lane. I mean, Ejim was tilted based off Kuden from solo queue alone, and if you're already tilted coming into a competitive match from solo queue, it just shows how strong this bottom lane is.
Yeah, it certainly does look like they are making waves. You know, we keep talking about Rymeister. The job doesn't get any easier, though, because he's across the rifts from Fantix. That guy's been an absolute beast. We actually have a replay to show you guys. It's the solo kill last night. This is against No Slouch and Cheese. And, you know, he's just able to get in there and put in work time and time again. And the impressive thing about the Direwolves is that they collapse as a unit time and time again. Rusty says it best. Like a hungry wolf by itself is susceptible to make mistakes. They go in, they're over aggressive. But when a hungry wolf hunts in a pack, it's very, very scary to see them execute like that. And that's what was demonstrated in game 2 and 3 last night.
Yeah, and this is the crazy thing, is because it wasn't necessarily controlled at all. This is just the
I'm going to say it was the opposite of controlled.
Yeah, it was them thriving in chaos. And if they can create that level of chaos again and then still all be around and make these big skirmishes happen, then it could be a real big deal for the Direwolves here. And look, I don't know. I actually quite like Sin on the same front, so we'll see whether they can answer in kind. But Direwolves, man, it seems like when everything's going pear-shaped, they're in their element.
See, I don't quite agree here. I feel like the Direwolves don't hunt really well as a pack, because you look at game 1, that was kill the Radier. And that's all they were trying to do together as a team. Didn't work out too good for them. But when they're separated all across the map, they focus on individual objectives and make sure they're not just tunneling on one target. They seem to play a lot better to me.
Yeah, I think they just don't team fight all that great. We actually have an example of last night. Radier was able to put on an absolute clinic against the team. This is Direwolves with a 13,000 gold lead just about. They're diving into the base of the Chiefs. Radier goes absolutely berserk. And, you know, it was pointed out that their positioning and, I guess, target prioritization wasn't all that great. Radier is at the front of the team fight the whole time, and whilst his mechanics are definitely on point, that's a Kassanen as well as a Corki that definitely should have been able to clean up that team fight, let alone the fact that Poppy is probably the one champion that counters Kalista, like just outright with the W. Maybe it shouldn't have happened. In the end, they were able to bring it back, but you have to feel that if that was anything but a 13,000 gold lead, Atlas, game could have gone a different way.
And most certainly could have. But this sort of goes back to the fact that the Direwolves pretty good at skirmishing around the map very early on and making things happen when they may not necessarily have any right to. You saw them grouping up as like 4 people towards the top half of the map as well. Things like this, round the river, very, very early.
Okay, so I talk about this all the time because we compliment Legacy for the same thing, the ability to early game skirmish. And people keep telling me it's a strength. Is there something that Sin can do to counteract this? Is a lane swap necessary? Can they take it to them? What is the answer to this early skirmish game that Legacy and Direwolves seem to be able to pull off time and time again?
Well, look, I don't really know, but if they can just avoid it, make sure that they're always safe, not going to be like fighting in the jungle like this. If Juves plays a champion that can disengage very well, maybe a Gragas. I don't know. That guy's pretty good at the moment. So maybe they get something like that happening. But look, I'm not entirely sure. If Juves is still going to be in his own way where he just like wanders around the map, not necessarily knowing exactly what to do early on, we could have a problem for Sin.
What are your thoughts, Fish?
I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning, which is they have to put a lot of pressure onto Rymeister in this mid lane. Whether they do a lane swap to get him isolated with Fantix or not, they have to get him a champion he's very comfortable with snowballing. It's something where he can try and take it to Fantix and show Fantix what he's made of and then impact the rest of the map afterwards.
Yeah, and I actually really, really love that you bring this up because you look at the sort of champions that Rymeister's been playing, lots of early power. He's got the Diana, lots of lane pressure, hits level 6, kills someone. Flat out what happens. Whereas you look on the side of Fantix, he plays Kassadin, he plays Gangplank, champions that don't have this early pressure. Rymeister really might be able to find a weakness here that he can exploit.
Well, we'll see if that is the case. However, I want to get predictions from you guys. We've been doing tipping all week. Atlas, starting with yourself, who is going to win this set? What's the scoreline and why?
2-0, Direwolves. I just don't see the Rymeister factor pulling through. I think Fantix is the best player in the OPL right now.
That's a very big call.
Well, at the beginning of the week, I tipped Direwolves to win 2-1. But after the performance last night, I think Direwolves going to pick this one up 2-0.
Yep, so after they got beaten in 26 minutes, Direwolves 2-0. I agree with you, Fish. Lots of logic here. Magic 8 Ball, come at me. Who is going to win tonight? Will it be the Direwolves? Focus and ask again. All right, cool. Will Direwolves win tonight?
It was very convoluted.
You need to focus.
No. All right. There you go. Sinja's going to 2-0 him. That's what the Magic 8 Ball says because we want to hear from you at home. So jump on Twitter, use that hashtag IamOPL. However, we want to get you into game as soon as possible. So here is pastry time for Oscar and Rusty to take us there.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to remind everyone, the Magic 8 Ball is as accurate as Fish right now, so take that as what you will. My name is Julian Pastry Time Card. Joining me is Indiana Frosker and Black and Zach Rusty Pie. It's another OPL Super Week match. Been an awesome week so far, and what a way to start things off. A hungry Direwolves picking up momentum from last night, and Sin, who honestly need to do so much work here in this week.
And we call Direwolves like an underdog type of team when they come up against teams like the Chiefs, but the Sin roster against any team that they rate as better than them is always the underdog, and that is where Sin actually steps up to the plate and performs above and beyond their own expectations. Rymeister, he's got this spark that ignites in him and just goes off.
And they're going to really have to go up here in general. We'll see what happens in the draft, though, because as always, it's important to see how the first game and the champions are going to roll out. Direwolves on the blue side for the first one, Sin over on the red. And we'll see what Direwolves want to first ban here. It is Yasuo, so already targeting Rymeister.
It is a really uphill battle. Super weak for Sin Gaming especially. Not only are they facing the Direwolves first, but they also have to face the Chiefs tomorrow, so unfortunately.
Yeah, it kind of starts one game at a time as Corki also banned away from Fantix, most likely, although Raze does play as well, which we've seen already. Have to agree with you though, Sin, I already said it, they need to sort of lift their place in the standings. They could do it here in Super Week with 2 wins, but their opposition is very tough this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a rampaging Direwolves that have taken down what is going to be Sin's other opposition, as you mentioned, in the Chiefs. So very interesting dynamic as we move into the week. But of course, Sin starting on the right foot with these bans, to say the least.
Yeah, I like them taking it away. Elise going to get banned by Sin. Malphite, of course, banned by Direwolves. You know, just a standard Oceanic ban.
The Wombo combo. I love how that's like a ban against Sin.
Yep. Sin have one strategy that has always worked for them 100% of the time. It may be a bit of a joke in the OPL pro scene, but don't give them the Wombo. Yep. That is what everyone says about Sin.
Well, Kog'Maw, the last ban from Direwolves. That leaves Gangplank, as Sin's final ban. And now Direwolves going to decide on their first pick here. The most obvious one, as always, is Lulu. Everyone's favorite first pick, especially Direwolves. Sharp loves the champion.
Yeah, there's also the Gragas, I think, that needs to be considered. Sybil's Gragas was ridiculous, honestly, above and beyond what I even thought he would be as well. He's an Elise player, likes to be mobile and aggressive, so Gragas kind of fits that bill quite well, but even just using the ultimate in ways without having to flash body slam them was what impressed me the most about Sybil.
Yeah, for sure. Although Direwolves may be changing tactics here. It will be Kalista as their first pick. We've seen this champion to see so much priority all around the world.
You have to expect, though, that means that the Gragas should be picked up in second rotation from Sin. You've banned the Elise. I don't think you should give him the Gragas either.
Well, there's Braum actually picked up by Sin, so going with the support, pretty clean first pick. Jungle would be just fine, I guess, but you maybe give Lulu over to the Direwolves. So Sin, they clearly had their first pick locked down. I guess they're going to think about their second pick here.
I don't think Rymeister's going to want to be much of a Lulu player in this particular game.
He also doesn't want to play against Lulu, though, if he has a disposition for assassins.
Well, there is the Lulu. Could be the Chippies champion. Could be there for Rymeister, but they have to take it away, which does leave, again, these first few picks always very intricate in the draft. Seems like Gragas is the next pick that we need to look for.
Yeah, definitely is, and I think it will be a top Lulu, as expected. Rymeister, yeah, he can definitely play control mages. Up against Fantix, though, it was mentioned on the analyst desk, champions like Diana, what really make Rymeister look his best.
I honestly feel like both these mid laners don't really want to play Lulu most of the time. I feel like they can, but Sharp always seems like the default Lulu player for me, and Rymeister just doesn't fit his MO as a mid laner. Is that maybe something that teams can exploit? Because if you see them get Lulu, you're like, okay, well, it's not a flex pick anymore. We know it's going top.
See, it's not a direct exploit, right? Like, if the Lulu can still be played mid, then Direwolves can assume it's top and pick accordingly, but they can still flex at mid, so you have to be very careful with your drafting up until last pick.
Likewise, Lulu doesn't have a lot of terrible lane matchups.
Yep, so pretty safe pick in general, as Sybil might be throwing it back. He actually doesn't go for Gragas. Lee Sin is the champion he wants, and Alistar the support to lock in with Kalista. Very aggressive first few picks here from Direwolves.
The Lee Sin is actually a preseason Sybil special. He's been playing a lot of it. We haven't seen much of it in the OPL, if any, I don't think, at this stage.
Cliven's played it once that I can remember.
Yeah, and I mean, Sybil hasn't at all either, which is the other thing. So Sybil, he's got a lot to prove on this Lee Sin. One of the lowest win rate champions in solo queue across every single region, plat and above at the moment. Competitive, still pretty good though.
Oh, absolutely. Lee Sin still gets work done. We'll see what Sybil can get done, as he is disposed to be aggressive most of the time. But Rek'Sai, Ezreal are the picks there for Sin. That jungle and AD carry leaving. Still a pick up in the air, but Ezreal Braum, why not really? Not really going to get anything done in the 2v2, but just want to farm out, be safe, and very strong mobile AD carry.
Always a reminder of how Rek'Sai interacts with Lee Sin. Proccing her Unburrow during the proc of your Resonating Strike can mess you up quite a bit.
Yeah, usually stops the damage as well and stops you from getting the extra combo with the Lee Sin kick. So
It used to be the thing that whenever you saw the Lee Sin when he was still fairly potent in the competitive scene a year ago, that Rek'Sai would be like the counter pick or a soft counter into it. Now damage has been moved around where Lee Sin does have a lot of dueling potential in Rek'Sai, but again, that mechanic still exists.
Yep, we'll see if Juve can get it done on the Rek'Sai. As Quinn's already locked in there for Sharp. They're considering the Fnatic's champion. Will it be the Twisted Fate? He has not won that much on it, I will say, at least in the few games he's played it, but he's going to get it in this one.
yeah, super interesting. Of course, Fantix, when he plays Twisted Fate, draws a lot of pressure towards his lane, which is really good because he can just escape the lane where the pressure is eventually. Twisted Fate's one of the more unique split pushing options as well. For a lot of teams, he's not going to be able to kill his lane opponent until he has like 3 items. But you can never kill the Twisted Fate. You try and gank him, he can just ult away. Generally runs teleport as well.
Yep, and I think Fantix, although he has Ignite right now, usually takes TP on the champion, so I have to think he will pick that one up. This does give Rymeister the counter pick though, and if there's any one player that really wants to punish a TF, it is going to be something like Diana, which is their last pick.
It's not a surprise.
No.
No, but I'm very excited, of course, picking up the Diana. The Rymeister special, it feels like when Sin have the Diana, it's their version of Zed.
Yep.
The split pushing extraordinaire that actually just destroys everybody in a side lane. This is the kind of composition from Sin where 25 minutes in, they'll send him top lane, he'll instantly kill Sharp and just keep going.
That's pretty good stuff against the Quinn. Direwolves especially, they've pretty much committed to a lot of globals themselves.
Yeah, the thing that I wanted to point out, though, is kind of the 2 different styles in comps. So you have an excellent 4-1 that Rusty is pointing out with Diana on Sin Gaming. But on Direwolves, that's a very chaotic skirmish. Like, even if all 5 of them are in the same area, it's still really like a 3v3 and a 2v2. It's going to be a split fight. You have Quinn, Twisted Fate, Lee Sin, Kalista. Your only tank is going to be your Alistar. So I like how it's the Direwolf special of like that really scrappy skirmish chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to be doing a lot of it here, especially if Fantix can get rolling on the TF, or if Sharp can leverage an advantage there on the Quinn. I didn't quite see what summon he went with. I have to think it's teleport, but he may have swapped it up, old Fantix.
They might have. And that's actually a really cool point as well for Skirn, is the fact that they've got a Kalista Alistar, so in regards to their zoning in fights, they can actually control set areas really strongly.
Yeah, certainly can. We'll see which team comp's going to look the best here in game number 1, though. Don't forget to use your hashtag DWWin for Direwolves, or hashtag SinWin, probably the best hashtag in the OPL. If you guys think Sin are going to start climbing out of their little slump, I'm going to say. It's not a massive one, but definitely not to expectations for the org.
Not at all, whereas Direwolves on the flip side, they have stepped up and gone way OP basically against the Chiefs and took them apart. So on the right foot coming into this best of 3 against Sin, but Sin have the most to prove.
They certainly do, and if there's ever going to be an upset, it would be a moment like this as we step onto the rift for game number 1. Sin going to move out once again. We joked about it already, talking about the Sin Wombo, the Yasuo, the Zac, the Malphite. I feel like this is the start of another Sin comp. the Diana is starting to become a thing for them, and some of their best-looking games have been with Rymeister on the champion.
Big thing, though, is that they don't have a lot of options in a true wombo combo style. But kind of going back to this identity of a 4-1 composition, what's brilliant about having Ezreal and Braum, and especially Lulu in kind of that 4-1, is as Diana is split pushing and as Rymeister is creating pressure on the map, you have champions that are perfectly executed to peel backwards. It's going to be very difficult to engage on them.
That's also the flip side of this, is they're relying on Rymeister to be ahead.
Yep.
Because an Ezreal Lulu do no damage in comparison to their opposition on the Direwolf side. So looking at a Lulu Ezreal, I mean, even in team fights, they won't win 4v4s. They just neutralize and hope that Rymeister can kill his opponent, which is why it's now super vital that he does well early and can split.
It reminds me of an AHQ composition, in all honesty.
There's also a sleeper wombo with Diana Lulu. Diana
Oh,
goes
yeah.
in and just bam, knock him up.
Well, Fantix did also go for Ignite, so maybe getting a bit more aggressive. Probably not in his lane, but perhaps in other lanes. So
be
curious to see him
surprised.
swap that up. I would be. I'm happy to be surprised, as we are going to have Rogue and Cardred move into the top side. We did see Raze and Kuden starting the Krug on the bottom, so lane swap time, Sin are going to move themselves into the top side as Rogue going to start getting nice and annoying. Sibyl's like, hey, what you doing here in my jungle? Rogue's going to try and disrupt them, but Sharp's going to kick him out. Sybil should be able to secure this, and Blue Buff and the Gromp already safely picked up.
Man up, Rogue.
Going for
Oh,
it.
damn.
Blinded. Unlucky, really, but he's at least going to get some vision down. They'll know where they started. You can see Kuden doing the same now as well. He's actually going to find them. Juve's a little low, only level 1. Chippy's got the... No, he didn't get the blue buff, but it looks like he got quite a lot of XP early.
Big reminder that this is actually how the Direwolves lost their one game against the Chiefs. It was in a lane swap scenario. So, again, this is a team that thrives on their 1v1 mechanics and abilities.
Fair enough.
Nice little roam there from Kuden. Didn't want to burn his summoners, though, to try and force something, so just annoys Rymeister more than anything else. But not a bad attempt from Alistar. Unfortunately, being level 1 makes it tricky to try and pull something off there.
Consider it an awareness check. That's what that was. Is Rymeister this aggressive on Diana that he will not respect me being there? But of course, does get out perfectly fine.
Yeah, Sybil now going to make his way to that bottom side of the map. So we are going to have 4 members of Direwolves converging on that turret in bottom to start pushing it. I can already see 3 members of Sin there as well. Juice is going to stay and farm the jungle for a little longer. I think Sybil's taking the Scuttle Crab on right side right now. So 3v0 as far as different pushes go, but should be fairly similar turret taking times.
The 4v0 never really did Lulu any favors. Not that she's bad at taking towers, but the big thing about Lulu when she was a really high priority top laner is her ability to 2v1, just because she acts as a ranged carry in those 2v1 scenarios. So
There is a major flip side to that, though. The original 4v0 strategy had Lulu as support, with Graves as the primary AD carry, because a ranged champion can take turrets down much more effectively. So Lulu being moved to mid and top might be detrimental to that fact.
Let's see, Sharp is going to collect that gold. Did share a bit of it, I believe. But Sin are going to keep pushing. Dial's are the first ones to get the turret here, but Sin should be able to answer. I imagine they'll give Chippies the lion's share of the gold, and then everyone's going to move back, and we'll see where else the teams want to go. Right now, Dial is moving their dual lane towards the top half of the map. We'll see if we get standard lanes in some form, or if we do have more longer lanes with 1v2 situations happening. As there's Sin taking that turret. Cardred actually sticks around, gets it, so they share a bit of gold there instead.
This is that very cute thing as well. Chippies is trying to get whatever he can before they push back. He's trying to scrape out the bottom of the barrel before he gets pressured out and threatened to be dove. So
2 creeps.
exactly, it's even at level 1 when a lot of teams lane swap, if you're not prepared, you take 3. You get 3 because they start a jungle camp and then you just peace out.
Well, 2 creeps better than nothing, certainly. As you can see, 2v2 is actually going to start on the top side by the looks of things. Sin able to send their dual lane back as Fantix able to push Rymeister in early on. Very even CS, so great job by both of them. In fact, Rymeister will be slightly ahead as Fantix trying to harass as best he can, throwing blue cards as Diana just trying to CS. Just out of mana now. Fantix nice and healthy with those blue cards.
But she does get to cheetah back simply because Rymeister has the TP available, whereas Fantix has the Kill Summoner and Ignite.
Which is a very interesting thing, though, because if Rymeister was to teleport, Twisted Fate's almost ticking that 6 over and doesn't need teleport, essentially.
Fantix actually going to go back now. Rymeister will use the teleport to come back to lane, and that's going to prompt Twisted Fate to stay hit. Nope, I tell a lie. He's gone back. Blasting on picked up. That looks like Abyssal Scepter first, perhaps. Null Magic Mantle also there in the inventory. So pretty aggressive early Twisted Fate build.
Yeah. reasonably aggressive. It's more to stay alive in this lane just outright. Abyssal Scepter on Twisted Fate is becoming a lot more popular as well. Do a fair bit of damage, and even people that don't have MR, there's validity to it.
Yep, range is lines up pretty well with the auto attack range, I think. As Juve's going to be taking that Grump.
550?
I think
The
so.
Aura's 550.
Yeah, which is standard auto
Yeah.
range, so makes sense. Rymeister now level 6. Fantix also level 6. So you could see him move to one of these lanes. Sybil down the bottom side right now.
There he goes.
Very potent gank
already
combination.
ulted.
Here we go. Gold card coming. Chibi's in trouble. He's going to get stunned up. That's a level 3 Lulu. Sharp going to dive in for it. And that should be a kill. First blood goes to TF.
And honestly, no reason to be there if you were Chippies. He should not have been that far pushed with the tower missing and the minions actually coming back towards him. Kuden.
Yeah, you're in trouble actually. Plenty of spears there into Rogue, but Raze is just deterring him. Will not pull the trigger on the Rend. But
This
it
is very cute, though.
certainly is. Rymeister going to try and get Fantix on the rotation. Juve's actually with the cam. That's going to be a dead TF. He's going to flash up, but Rymeister chases easily with the ultimate.
Super cute. Comes down to their pink ward placement as well, knowing there was only one direction that he could have walked, and even letting him walk straight into them instead of engaging. There was no way out for Fantix, and he even had to blow his flash.
Re-engage on the top side though. Cardra getting low. Ray's going to try and line up the kill. He's not level 6. He pops the Ren, but Cardra's going to live through it. Rogue, though, could be in a spot of bother, but plenty of minions to hold them back. And Kuden is so low.
Here comes the teleport.
Yeah, now Shark going to move in. He sees Cardra's ward's going down. They're trying to force a TP. Cardra going to get flashed on, but Rogue with a great block from the Unbreakable as Chippies is up here now as well. Sharp's Hank Streak is going to prop as Chippies tries to come in for a bit more damage, but Raze is going to force another flash.
Wow, that was a good teleport though from Chippies, even though it was out of necessity to keep the team alive. Most importantly was Rogue using the Braum's Unbreakable and actually keeping him so healthy and keeping Cardred healthy to the point where they could look to at least counter-engage, but what they do is they at least get out with their lives.
Yeah, I'm going to give major props to Sin's bot lane right there. Again, knowing that both junglers and mid laners were busy on the opposite side of the map and trying to go super aggressive to force Raze and Kuden back. And then a fantastic Braum play, like Rusty pointed out, having that Unbreakable there.
Well, worked out relatively well. Pretty much everyone got in there, and we just traded a kill. Actually, we traded no kills. That's upsetting. Just the one from earlier.
They were also trying to reset the wave, so there was a big stack of minions about to be frozen top lane between an Alistar and a Kalista. They can handily do that. Sin overextend, essentially, knowingly, of course, because of the vision they had. As well.
Yeah, now Rymeister really putting the hurt in.
There's
This
no
is
flash.
Just a Faker run into trouble. Rogue's down here. Fantix completely stranded. Easy kill for Ry.
This is exactly what you don't want to happen if you were Direwolves. Evidently getting 2 kills onto Rymeister could come back to bite them. And this is the one member of Sin that we even said you don't want the kills to be on, and he has all of them.
I believe in the magic 8 ball.
Well, it's the one place we didn't maybe expect it as well as in lane on the Diana, but Sin even going to group up. This turret should be dead with Ezreal here to help out. Diana's passive does so much damage to structures. And 2 structures now for Sin. They break the crucial mid-outer.
And this is excellent. I'm glad that you brought up the fact that it's the mid-outer tower that went down. The fact that Sin made the rotation to move their bot lane into the middle lane initially, as opposed to putting them in a side lane and trying to freeze and farm, was massive.
You are deep.
Yeah, this is a little too much from Sybil here. He's not really sure where to go because he doesn't have very many good options. He's going to get stunned up there by the pass. They're going to try and make a great escape, but that's going to flash for Juice. He'll lock it down, and Chippies collects the gold.
Yeah, just locking him down. Sybil was actually stealing the enemy blue buff with a dead mid laner and no pressure in that lane because the turret had fallen, as we saw. Aggressive. I'll pay him that much. Holy, that was aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think trying to make up for something, because Fantix did suffer a kill there in the mid lane, but even trading tower for buff isn't really worth it. Trading no buff and a tower for also your life is definitely not, as Fantix going to go for something on the top side. Cardred pretty low, going to shift out, but he's still going to get hit up. Raze there with the kill as
got him.
Fantix moves into Collector, but a nice kill on Sakuden, who did not have his ulti.
That was absolutely best case scenario for Cardred right there. He still had his flash, but there was nowhere to go. So instead he turns around, he fights, and only a level 4 Alistar, who was not in range to exhaust, gets out with a death, and honestly an even trade for Cardred. Massive.
And naturally, the desk has more experience with Sin's bot lane than I do, but so far I've been nothing but impressed with Rogue and Cardred.
Looking good so far. Raze and Kuden, I think, playing a little too aggressive after the lane swap. Supports were pretty low level, and Kuden's paid for it almost twice now. with that first death now in the column. Sharp though, continuing to farm up. Fnatic also keeping track of kills versus Rhymeister, but Rhymeister's in full split push mode right now. The Nashor's Tooth now collected, and he's got a massive CS lead as well. Fnatic has to make plays with his ulti like he's trying to, because he's got a big hole to crawl out of.
Yeah, he absolutely does, and I guess that's one of the positives to being Twisted Fate, is you can make plays across the map. The lanes have been broken as well. Once they get the top turret, it's really long lanes. If Twisted Fate ganks, well and truly capable of picking up prolonged engages, which means eventual kills for Fnatic, or at least for Direwolves as a whole. And in regards to the Kardra thing as well, he's actually just consistent. That's the issue with Sin's bottom lane, is Rhymeister, if he's ever behind, their bottom lane looks worse for it, because all they are is consistent. So if his team's losing, it reflects poorly on them.
That's fair.
Sybil going to get counter jungle. No, he's not. Nice little smite there onto the Krugs. Juves had his smite, but couldn't quite take it out. As Rhymeister doing some work in the bottom lane. Goodbye, turret.
And it's just the fact that they have beautiful triangle vision set up in Direwolves' red jungle, and then just shadowing on top of Rhymeister to try to catch an enemy team cheating between that jungle to try to gank him.
This is the genuine concern that Direwolves are now having to deal with, is who do they send? Oh,
Ooh,
never mind, he's
teleport.
teleporting mid.
Try for something here. Rhymeister very aggressive, trying to track down Twisted Fate, I believe, but
Just
the rest
push
of
mid.
Direwolves
Yeah.
should be able to move.
They have such a better position on this. Now it's on Direwolves to make the flank happen here, but Alistar is so far behind his team.
Yeah, they don't even have Raze. Like, if this wave crashes in time, they'll get at least a fair chunk of damage.
Yeah, they have to go all the way around. They can't force in front of Sin.
Pretty crisp play here from Sin. The Direwolves are moving in to try and defend it. 3v5 right now, and actually is enough.
Yeah.
Good teleport, but the wave not being there does cost Sin their summoner spell.
They effectively wasted about 20 seconds that could have been pushing if the wave was there, but Direwolves had already cleared said wave, even though they were rotating, which is why they were rotating, to be fair.
No dragon either, unfortunately, so grouped up for nothing. Kardra going to chuck a true shot barrage. Actually finds Sybil
He was clearing top
in
wave.
the Rift Herald pit. Gooden going to come in to try and save him. Sybil's getting awful low here. Rek'Sai's popped the ulti.
You can't get to the eye, he'll be too close.
Oh, this might just come down. They will take it. And Sybil going to get it, but Rogue's here to try and stop them. Judes goes over the wall, and Gooden, once again, he's got no ultimate on the Alistar. Going to get stunned up. Kardra swoops in, and Judes gets an easy kill.
That is pretty big, I'm going to say, in favor of Sin once again. The map pressure that they can establish from this. Every single pick that they're making, it's not directly translating into kills, or sorry, into objectives or anything massive. They're not snowballing the game from this, but what they are doing is letting Rhymeister get further ahead. They're also letting Chippies catch up due to the numbers advantage that they've got across the map, putting themselves back into it as a 5-man.
Got a blue buff out of it as well. Here comes the push from Sin. We expect a
That
great
kick.
kick from Sybil, but nowhere to follow up, unfortunately. Just disengages them off the turret.
I feel like we've seen a lot of really advanced macro strategy from some of the considered bottom OPL teams. Trident played well, Avant-Garde played the map really well, and now we're seeing Sin Gaming play the map.
I feel like something maybe just changed for Sin. He's definitely playing much crisper in the early game of this one. They're going to take the dragon out for themselves now as well. So he's going to go over to Sin.
The biggest mistake so far was Chippies overextending bottom lane, and that was it. That was the one big thing that should not have happened so far.
Otherwise, even on their rotation with the burnt teleport spell into the mid lane, they still got superior position on the tower, and even though that didn't work out for them because the wave mistimed, it gave them superior position on the dragon.
Yeah.
Well, did cost Chippy CS at least, and of course his life that first time. Does have a kill. Rod of Ages up already on Lulu, so not feeling too bad about it. But 40 CS down also from Sharps, pretty big deal. I guess conversely though, that has opened up room for Rhymeister, who's got a massive CS lead there on Fnatic, so actually about the same, 40.
That is a big deal. And the fact that he's now working towards his next item with Merc trades there. Now infinitely harder to kill this Diana. And is this the patch where they changed Merc trades to have more tenacity?
Maybe. Ooh, Fnatic's looking for someone though. Finds Rogue. Sybil there as well. Great kick on the Kardra. That could be the follow-in. Kardra in trouble, but the rest of Sin is going to come in. Rhymeister goes through, and Chippies picks up a double Glitter kill.
Oh my god. 2 big kills for Chippies actually puts him well and truly even now with his lane opponent. Also gives 2 kills to Sin with control of this middle lane and minions pushing. They've grouped up as 5. Raze is still recalling.
And it's been Dials looking quite sloppy here in the early game of this one. Sin actually looking to take the tier 2 win mid very swiftly into this game. It will fall 15.5 minutes in. 4-2 up in turrets now for Sin and 3k up in gold.
But that's the thing about Direwolves yesterday. Even when they defeated the Chiefs, it still wasn't a clinical macro game. It's about their mechanical abilities, which they have some of the most talented players in the OPL, but they're trying to brute force this way too hard. They didn't have the necessary vision to try to make an aggressive forward play like that.
Does cost them. Good collapse from Sin. That's Chippy's. Some much needed gold. Rymaster takes his own blue. Rage does have his Blade of the Ruin King, but feels like everyone on Direwolves is fighting for farm. This is the other Direwolves thing that we've come to know and love in some respects. Farming 3 lanes as best as possible. Pretty easy when ahead, much harder when behind. And right now, Direwolves are playing from behind.
Yeah, definitely a harder thing to execute on, and the more people share farm, the worse it becomes.
As we see the 80 carry in the mid laner in the exact
The
same
one
lane.
thing you don't want to happen, unless you are pushing for something. And of course, the second they clear the waves, they have to recall, and that's how you know they're playing from behind. The weird thing as well is that we saw Chiefs beat Direwolves when they played macro style, and that was the big question mark coming into this, was can Sin actually effectively be a macro team and beat Direwolves at what doesn't work for them? So far, so good, which is most surprising.
Yeah, in game 1, something looking strong for them.
This sounds fairly obvious, but typically when a team is outclassed mechanically, the only way for them to win is to play ideal League of Legends in terms of just playing the map and making sure that you're never taking a fight that isn't necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly what Sin are doing in this instance.
Yeah, they're just playing smart, using Rymeister. Again, the Diana comp we've seen from them before.
Yeah, and they get so much control over the map, as Rusty was saying, simply because Rymeister is so far ahead. The reason why Kalista and Twisted Fate have to be funneled into the same lane is because...
No one can split push.
Exactly.
No one. And Sharp's going to take the lane where Rymeister isn't, because he can deal with Chippy. So wherever Rymeister is, they send 2 people, or they send nobody.
Well, right now, Sinner sending everyone almost as someone wants the top lane farm, but Direwolves have not decided who yet. Rymeister with the blue buff with distorted Merc Treads, and now the makers of
It's
on his
like
hourglass.
the Hunger Games. They're all looking at like these red dots on the bottom side, see the Diana, it's like, nope, I don't volunteer as tribute.
Nope, I wouldn't either. As the Direwolves again have to clear as a team.
They're pulling names out of a hat. Kuden, you are defending this time. No!
And Rymeister, if he gets a good Q, might have been going for a dive here.
He's
Chippy's
at level
is-
6, by the way.
Yeah,
Alistar.
Kuden has been killed so many times.
And level 12 Rymeister, who is 2 levels ahead of anyone else on his team.
I
Which-
like that Fantix is hiding himself, waiting for the dive.
Well, dive might not come. Sin can actually seed pretty well here. Kuden getting chunked, and now
Kuden
Juves.
took way too much damage on the Alistar.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's too low level.
Yep.
What's he going to do, roar away?
Well, that's massive, obviously, because you're dealing with the poke, and he's their only tank as well as the majority of their CC. Otherwise, they're relying entirely on Gold Card and the Dragon Rage kick.
But this is also why Braum can be arguably better than Alistar, because you're always a tank, you don't need your ultimate.
We don't. Direwolves. This is getting very precarious. Few misses there from Braum out onto Sybil. The Juves off with the flank as the Direwolves will finally get forced off this. But again, just wasting time, not getting them farmed. Sin going to fall back, get their objectives. We'll drag it up in a minute.
Okay, this is good. Dragon.
Blue trinket time.
It's blue trinket and pink time. How many pinks? 1. Come on.
Count 'em with me.
One still.
God damn it!
So close.
Well, not there yet. Fantix gets himself blue buff. He's going to take away the Wolf Camp here as well. Again, trying to pick up CS where available, but he's been shoved off so much farm this game. He's down 65 CS as Rymeister's had free reign of every single side wave.
They have to do this fast.
Certainly do. They
Nah,
almost
it's
died
fine.
last time.
It's gone back to the void. See you later, Harold.
Bye.
Nice try, Direwolves.
Well, it's better than nothing, but unfortunately that time they rolled nothing. And Sin continuing to apply the pressure. They zone them off
Bye.
the Herald. Harold goes back to bed.
Back to bed.
Is that where he goes?
Good night. I have no idea.
Probably just put his feet up.
I
you know,
think I
has a
read that
coffee.
book. Good night, Harold.
And now dragging up in 5 seconds. Sin doing a great job, again, controlling the map, playing it well. Kardric with 2 items. Rymeister's an absolute monster. He's going to start this dragon. Direwolves do the right thing. They can't go anywhere near it. Just take the 15 seconds free you get and try and get some farm.
So this is a very contrasting thing. Frostgreen always talks about triangle vision. Right now, Sin's vision is a circle. Like it is like a full way around. So there is no way for Direwolves to even breach the bottom side jungle without being pinged or spotted immediately.
There was a sweeping arm motion.
Yeah. The crescent moon.
So we've upgraded. It's 360 vision now.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
There was a no-scope joke. I didn't touch it.
That's fine. I'm glad you didn't. And
Okay.
Sharp trying to do something up in the top lane. He kind of has to split push. He is a Quinn. He's got a more of Malmortius, but
He's about to find a 200 CS Diana.
yeah, good luck.
Da-na.
Oh, yeah, you're out.
Rhymeister in for
Oh,
it.
wow.
Line lands. Volt's not bad. That's going to force a flash. Follow flash in there as Q. Ulti. Goodbye.
Really nice use of the displacement on the Quinn vault to make sure that she couldn't get the maximum distance.
What a disaster.
Well, Spandex are looking for something. He goes for chippies, but Juve's there to answer instantly with the Rek'Sai
here he
ulti.
comes.
The teleport.
Now going to flash in for it. Rhymeister hungry for more. Fandix the
Oh
target.
my
He's going to get
God.
munched down, and Rhymeister's just destroying people. He's a little low on mana, so he might have to stop. But Raze is forced to use the Fate's Call. And Sin just on a rampage right now.
And what sums this up nicely is he's got not enough mana, so he has to stop. It's not about his health bar, and the damage is always there. He has just killed the top laner Sharp, and then teleported bottom and killed the mid laner Fantix, and then take a turret for it. This is quintessential Sin gaming, playing around their strength.
It's so clean, too. So right now, back, spin the gold that you just acquired globally through the tower kill as well as your pickup on the top lane. Pick up pink wards. 1, 2, 3. We made it. Now move your vision, pick it up, and move it onto the Baron pit and start pressuring the top and mid waves.
Well, we'll see if Sin do just that. They got the pink ward part right this time at least. So seems to be relatively strong here for Sin as far as their map play is concerned. They've been playing well all game long. And it didn't take much. Couple kills for Rhymeister, some really smart pressure from Sin. And the Dials maybe thrust upon their own sword here in this one. Something about Fenix's Twisted Fate,
Here we
despite
go.
how good it is.
Here we go.
Well, this is
There we
cute.
go.
But they're going to look for something onto Rogue. He's still pretty tanky. Sybil moves in for it. He's going to get ultied up now by the Braum. And that's going to force the flash Juve straight into it, though. He's going to look for the last auto Kuden. Nice little play there. But now he's in trouble. Pops the ulti. Don't think he's going to live regardless. And that is going to be a kill for Cardred.
His dying wish was to place a ward and spot them if they do the Baron. So Sin, they pick up a kill. And that was actually Direwolves engaging, which honestly felt like desperation. Sybil didn't connect with the flash kick either. I believe Braum jumped as he attempted to do it, so kicked Braum away towards the rest of the Sin roster as Rhymeister's
Yeah, he
in trouble.
actually could be dead here. This is a good shutdown, but the Zonyas is there. Where did that gold card go? I think he hit a creep, and now Rhymeister with the rest of Sin can look for the re-engage. Fantix getting low on that front side. Rogue, though, is going to get blown up as Sybil takes him out, but Cardred is able to get the snipe onto TF. Sin still not done.
They are not done at all. Rhymeister gets the Zonias off. Twisted Fate hits a minion next to him, and there is no chance for follow-up there. As Direwolves, honestly, they got sniped by Cardred as well. This is a highlight reel from Sin individually.
And you can see the play there from Direwolves, try and pick off the big Rhymeister, but he's too far ahead at this point. Zonya's already done 23.5 minutes in, and Sin are just going to stay and take the turret. Direwolves cannot defend this, so they're going to make it go of it. Juve's pretty tanky there on the front. They get kicked out by Sybil. Does actually get it, gets away with it. The snipe's in, but it's not enough to take out Lee Sin.
Rhymeister, though, he's gone.
He's actually dead. That's a good shutdown there for Sharp. The Direwolves,
They have to Desperation Baron.
But this is also a Quinn, so they don't have to. They can chase.
they're going to chase. Bird's moving in for it. Chippies does not have his ultimate. Cardred's the target. Gets blinded. Good polymorph there, but Ray's going to move in. Fate's Call
Got
actually
him.
pops Kuden in. Massive double pulverize after the initial knock-up, and there's the shutdown. Chippy's dead here as
Rogue?
well, and it's all falling apart right now for Sin. Rogue, you have to get out, buddy.
He's going to go for
Oh,
Kuden.
Kuden! That's the flash. Rogue does
I
have
got
the
him.
ignite. He takes him out. Ray's going to try and get some revenge, but the Q's going to miss. The Ren's not enough, though.
Rogue managing to make a trade. Direwolves, they've immediately started up this Baron. You would say it's free, but Rek'Sai's almost got the ultimate, and there's a tunnel next to the pit.
Well, they better do it quickly. Ray's going to start to throw some spears into Baron's face. But here's Juves. I don't know if there's going to be enough spears to try and get it. This could just be a smite battle. Juves
He
Kill
can
Lee
go
Sin.
in.
Kill
going to
Lee
move in
Sin.
for it. He goes. He wants Sybil, but Sybil's cutting around it. The Baron's still low, but Raze is getting shredded. Juves able to take him out. Sybil has to move, but Juves is dead. As Fantix is able to
Oh
take him
my
out.
God.
Chippies moves in, though. Gets the kill.
Oh
Rogue
my
dives
God.
to the Baron as Fantix gets a double. And Chippies and Rhymeister are here to finish it. If Baron's dead, Sin get it.
This was a story of overextension on both sides. It's a tragedy.
We've overextended so far. We've come full circle. Sin Gaming pick up kills and the Baron. That was desperate, to say the least, for Direwolves going for the Baron. They stayed too long to get the picks, opposed to starting it. Juice gets in, the knockup combo with Rogue just decimates him. The Baron is MVP in this fight as well. 1800 health this entire time. Surprised that Ezreal didn't kill Sybil, but it doesn't matter because Chippies comes in and then, you know, Baron tail whips Rogue. Gives him one.
That's weird. It's supposed to only lower defense, but does a pretty good job killing him there as Rymeister able to pop his way back into that one. Fandix now on the bottom side going to try and push some things out. Don't you give me that look.
Hey, look, tail whip does damage, right? It's the spit, the caustic spittle. It doesn't.
He's been playing way too much Pokemon.
I absolutely have. Thank you, Proscurin. As Fandix does at least push the wave back out. Drag it up in 5 seconds. And Sin are able to
Imagine if Baron
pick
could use
that one
double
up.
team.
Oh, no.
You smite and misses, you're like, uh-oh. Not a good time. They are going to get it, though. Dragon number 3 goes over to Sin.
It's never a good time when you get into a battle. It's like sand attack, double team. Great.
Pidgey, the bane of my life. There's Sharp. He's going to get himself the blue buff. No, he donates it over, excuse me, but doing a bit of jungling there as Fandix is able to pick it up. And Sin still riding high. They kind of managed to weather the, I'm going to say, very effective storm for a while there from the Direwolves, who, again, always thrive in those big chaotic moments where they can outplay you. But Sin, keep it under control. Juice does well, despite the massacre around the Baron Pit, and Sin buy enough time on the respawn to pick it up. So we'll see what they can get done here as far as structures are concerned. They've got 5 turrets already. Wouldn't mind breaking that base, getting that number up a little higher.
It was quite simply just an overextension from Sin that actually let Direwolves even mount any kind of defense whatsoever, and their resilience shines through, but they do the exact same thing themselves. They think that they've taken an inch and they can get a mile from it. But Sin halt them in their place, and now the pressure is well and truly on.
I will say in general, the pace at which the Direwolves play at every point in the game, pretty fast. And it seems to be both their greatest strength and maybe in this game their undoing. Raze with the Hurricane, going to be a bit more effective now, and the Kalista has the 2 items and
Well,
is sort of ready from there.
if they ever get into a chase situation like they did on that top tower when things started to go right, there's definitely a long way to go back to safety for Sen.
Certainly is. So Sin do want to be careful here in this siege, but they've got the blue Ezreal, they've got the Baron buff still for a little while longer, and Rymeister's looking for a TP. I think he's getting his own blue buff.
The weirdest pink ward that I've ever seen placed next to Juice. That would not reveal anything. Like, it's in the wall.
It's the ambush ward.
Like, there is a ward that Juves is sitting on. He doesn't know because that pink ward is hugging a tree.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah. Like,
Never mind. Ambush ward failed.
He should have just placed it to the opposite wall where that little blue flower is.
yeah, I'm just going to say not in the trees. Yeah.
No high ground vision.
It's not a sentry that you can place higher, that's right.
Sharp, showing things out. Rymeister does have teleport. He's level 16. He's at. We've already explained it. Massive Diana at this point, but the Void Staff at the ready. So can 1v1 anyone still, including Sharp, despite the 2 items that he has.
On the bright side, Direwolves did not have their base broken in the Baron Siege. So some pressure alleviated there.
Teleport's used though.
Here's Rymeister looking
no.
for. Oh, it's raising Kuden. Kuden, great headbutt actually. That's going to deny all of that offensive.
Yeah, no one else from Sin was actually able to get there in time. And it's pretty obvious when a Rek'Sai yells super loudly that someone needs to run. So you just kind of look at your minimap and go, oh, it's us, better leave. So Rymeister not actually able to get a flank off. Was well done by Kuden to ensure that Rymeister was the one not putting down damage, whereas Juves was the one they just had to avoid being near. And they defuse everything.
Sin though, still on the offensive. Again with no Baron buff, could be a bit trickier. Fantix also just got his Zhonya's. So this whole time, again, Sin have still had a nice gold lead, but Dives are picking up gold as well. And they've managed to stalemate the game somewhat. So these fights are going to start to get less and less even as the gold discrepancy starts to matter. Not so much, but Rymeister is still massive. Sin really just one last piece of the puzzle left. They've got the split pusher. They got to this point. This is usually where you get to with a strong split pusher. Just a matter of finishing the game, so breaking the base, and then eventually, you know, of course, taking down the Nexus. But you do need to do this fast.
An issue is also kind of where Direwolves had the discrepancy between Sin. All of their farm is on their top laner. Sharp has over 100 CS on his opponent, but he hasn't really been participating in a lot of these fights.
He's also got a very offensive item build, so if he were to join the fights, even if he were to split push against Rhymemeister, he would go down. So just picking on the outside lane, not actually being involved, definitely going to start hurting his team when Urati is just so far ahead of at least his opponent directly. Lulu's always going to be grouped up, always going to be relevant. Need to start picking their battles more carefully here.
Yep, whereas Sharp is just more janitorial, kind of comes in, sweeps everything up at the end, but he's very strong right now. He's got a lot of power, so.
And if nothing else, he's buying his team some time, which is definitely what the Direwolves need here. Sin, though, are going to go back, reset their map, and look for the objectives that are starting to come back up. Baron and Dragon will be back up shortly. And Sin, Dragon number 4, as they could look to Dragon 5 as another potential win condition. They probably didn't want to have to get that far, but they've had such good map control all game long that if they need it, they have it there. It's sort of an insurance policy.
This is Sin who have executed the early game effectively. They've got themselves a decent lead as well, 5k. It's nothing to laugh at, that is for certain. It's just that they've not managed to take that 5k lead and put it anywhere further. They just kind of watch the map unfold, and yeah, if they get towards the 5th Dragon as a win condition, just means they haven't recognized how to end the game soon enough. Still a very real possibility that they can win the game from the 5th Dragon or getting another Baron in 30 seconds. Just surprising that given their strength right now that Rhymemeister has, that they couldn't execute on anything more aggressively.
I think it's just a lot of respect given to Direwolves, especially after you're in the top lane and Direwolves come back and almost take the game back but manage to lose out on Baron. So simple decision making. I feel like it kind of turned Sin off to this idea to push it further.
This is also coming back to Sin's team composition though, if we want to bring this back around to the start of the game. They've got a Lulu Ezreal. They're not very good at diving when their key source of Wombo is the Diana, who's never there as well. So kind of stalemates the game from drafting alone. Gives Direwolves an opportunity to come back in this.
Well, something started here as Sin are moving into the Dragon area. Direwolves are grouped as 5, I think, for the first time all game long. And it seems like they fancy a team fight despite the goal difference.
Yeah, they've got a flank.
Oh my god, Rhymemeister going to dive in. Going to move straight in with the Zhonya's. Sybil already taking a massive chunk of damage as Juice will take him out. Sharp is trying to flank on the other side, but the rest of Sin are going to chase him down. Bandix needs to lock somebody down. They've actually got Rhymemeister though, but he's going to move it back in. Ray's going to get chunked out. The Fate's Golem might save him. Wild Growth on top of him as well. Sin, I think just a little too far ahead, but the Direwolves are still trying to fight it out.
Direwolves could fight this.
They're going to look for something. Dragon getting low, but it resets again. Fantix gets the gold card down onto Chippies. They're still fighting 4v5. Sin, though, will just barely get away with that Dragon.
Rhymemeister, of course, is about to have his teleport, so goes back to base, and Direwolves need to respect that fact. And unfortunately for them, they did see a re-engage as a possibility. They just took too much damage from the poke. Eventually, little Lulu and Ezreal can place onto you. And just like that, Direwolves, they don't get the 4th Dragon, I will say. Sin managed to pick that one up.
Sin managed to get it. That'll threaten 5 in about 6 minutes' time, and Baron is back up as well. So certainly not done as far as map pressure's gone here. Sin have plenty of objectives to play around. And the Direwolves, again, if that was a more even gold game, I think they would have happily taken the fight. Sybil's going to find Juves, though. That's creative.
Yeah, it was also an issue of target selection from Sin. They couldn't cohesively decide if they were on the Dragon or if they were turning the fight, who was zoning, who was actually going in. So Rusty's correct. It was really their poke that saved them there.
Sharp, though, continuing to apply bottom side pressure. He knows the Baron is what Sin want next, so he's going to try and be as annoying as possible. Rai, though, level 18, still with his teleport and about to build a death cap.
Yeah. The question, though, with Rhymemeister is he doesn't have any mana items. So really does run into a hole without blue buff, and this is why, at this point in time, with him having blue, Sin should be fighting.
Going to start something, no Juice. Going to get knocked back. Fantix looking for a target. Does get the stun onto Roigo, I believe it. Here comes Rhymemeister, who's in already. Fantix is forced to pop the Zhonya's, but Twisted Fate is going to go down now. Raze is going to be the key target. He needs to keep fighting this out. Sharp's going to die on the back end as Cartridge is able to take him out as well, and Raze just does not have enough spears despite Juice having a whole ball worth of them in his backside. He gets demolished here as Cardra gets himself a triple. Sin get themselves an ace.
And Cardra genuinely carried that entire team fight and Sin through most of this game. Rhymemeister just goes into a bouncing castle and does nothing for the entirety of that fight, but their poke is just too strong. Chippies keeps the person targeted alive, and Sin run over Direwolves.
And a very clean team fight there. Sin might have been pushing to end this one now. Death time is a little long, 15 seconds for Sybil and Fantix. First turret fall. Primeister far too good at taking out structures, and Sin are going to pick up a game 1 upset as they slay the Direwolves.
Sin looked phenomenal. Their macro play that game was almost perfect. Other than the single overextension that Lulu made that one time, it was pretty crisp.
And I feel like the trend is continuing. Twisted Fate for Fantix. I know he's great at it. He's got one of the best solo queue records on the champion. I've seen him go off in OPL games. But that's 2 game ones in a row now, and it has not worked out for the man.
No, definitely has not worked out. Twisted Fate, I'm not going to say is the cause of him not working out on the champion. That's Direwolves not understanding macro with it.
Well, good. A slow start there for the Dials. As Sin are able to pick up the first game. Let's break that game down, though, and Sin's upset as we throw back over to the analyst desk.
Welcome back to the analyst desk, where Magic 8 Ball has more collective brain power than my other 2 analysts because they got it right. No, the 8 Ball got it right. You guys got it wrong. You should be ashamed of yourself, gentlemen. Ashamed. I just want to point out.
It's cheating. The 8 Ball's cheating.
It is, yeah. It's a mystical being, you know.
Yeah,
It's
it didn't
very,
even
very
know that you
smart.
asked the question correctly and then told you to do it again.
Yeah.
The guy's ridiculous.
I also want to point out that credit to my analyst, I also picked Direwolves 2-0. So, you know, I'm supposed to know lots about this league. But what happened, boys? Like that was a pretty crisp game out of Sin in the end.
Oh, man. Disrespect, though, honestly, in the draft phase. Picking the Twisted Fate blind into Rymeister, who we just saw goes nuts on Diana. He's played it against the Direwolves, went nuts then. I think he went 9-3-7 the last time he played Diana into Fantix. Still had a brilliant performance. So I just feel like, honestly, the Direwolves just said, well, we don't think that we can lose this match.
Pretty much sums it up. Rymeister just went off, and the vision control that they provided for that match for him to rotate and out-rotate, in fact, a Twisted Fate was fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, you know, during that game, we saw that Twisted Fate went down to the bottom lane, picked up an overextending Chippies, but it was a response out of Juves and Rymeister that very much impressed me. They catch him rotating back through the jungle. I mean, he has to come back to mid lane at some point, right? And it was just after a recall. That's the most likely path. That's the guy I want to go to next is actually Juves, because we mentioned Sybil maybe looking out of sorts if he's not on something like Elise or Gragas. Another game not on Elise or Gragas, another game looking very, very sloppy for a man that we expect great things out of.
Yeah, and Sybil, once again, not necessarily where it was, but I don't think it was necessarily Sybil playing badly. This was Juves knowing exactly where he needed to be on the map. They played the lane swap so beautifully, managed to set up all the vision, were utilizing the fact that they knew that the enemy support, the Alistar, didn't have the Unbreakable Will for a very, very long time in that game. Was so incredibly key because they were able to dive. They were able to take advantage of the very squishy cow and just get kills across the map. It was beautiful to watch.
On the other side of the rifts as well, Sybil just not being the highlight reel Sybil that we saw in games 2 and 3 against the Chiefs. Looked a little bit like game 1 Sybil, which was camping in a brush for a significant amount of time. Not in the right place at the right time. Not able to assist his team, and just didn't look great.
Okay, so now let's take a look at this, because a lot of people would have thought that this would be a 2-0 for Direwolves. Apparently they didn't. I, myself included, didn't look at the fact that Direwolves have dropped a lot of game ones. This is something that they're very, very familiar with. Is this something that Sin, did they dictate the pace of the game? Did Direwolves look sloppy? Where do you think this series goes from here?
Well, if Sin do what Chiefs did yesterday and just go to standard lanes next 2 games in a row and just let the same thing happen, where the Direwolves get the standard lanes, they get the hunger. You know, these guys, like, they smell the blood. They're like, oh my God, we lost a game. We're going to kill everyone. They do that, but they do that in standard lanes. If Sin can keep up this lane swap strategy and move forward that way, I believe that it will be a very different experience. But I want to see Fantix on something with a little bit of early pressure.
I think we will see the Direwolves bounce back in games 2 and 3, especially. They're kind of like Dr. Mundo. He has to take a little bit of damage first before he can dish it out, and that's what they've done once again here.
Well, there we go, guys. We actually had a beautiful macro game out of Sin, so they pick up game 1. Magic 8 Ball was right. However, we have much more League of Legends around the corner. Don't go anywhere.